It is me, Maria and her books. I didn't realize that booktube was a thing at all. And then I started a bookstagram account, went a little bit farther down the rabbit hole, and discovered that booktube is a thing. And I was like, hey, I love talking about books. I should start a channel. So, hi, it's me, Maria. I'm here to talk about books, starting with a book reading vlog. Starting with a reading vlog. The reason for this is because I started reading Christmas Under the Stars, and if there's any book that I think would just be like a picture perfect reading vlog, it's actually this one. So here's the description as written on the back of the book. In the snow-topped mountains of the Canadian Rockies, Meg and Mitch are living their dream. Just weeks away from their wedding, they work and play with Tuck and Lucy, their closest and oldest friends. Meg and Lucy are as close as sisters, much to Meg's real sister's dismay. And Tuck and Mitchell have successfully turned their passion for snowboarding into a booming business. But when a polar storm hits, tragedy strikes. Alone in the tiny mountain log cabin she shares with Mitch, Meg desperately tries to radio for help, and it comes from the most unexpected quarter, a lone voice across the airwaves that sees what she cannot. As the snow melts and the friends try to live with their loss, the relationship Meg thought were forever are buckled by tensions, rivalries, and devastating secrets. Nothing is as she thought, and only her radio contact understands what it is to truly be alone. As they share confidences in the dark, witnessed only by the stars, Meg feels her future begin to pull away from her past and is forced to consider a strange truth. It's her friends who are the strangers, and the stranger who really knows her best. Okay, I would say that I'm pretty early on in the book, so I've only read this little bit here. And I thought, for the most part, it kind of reads like it is what it says on the back of the book. It reads very much what I thought. But then, like when the event happens and she's radioing and she talks to this person and she doesn't know who this is, like it's just a voice on the radio. I then was in for the shock of my life because she's talking to an astronaut in space. Like it's like, I don't know what it was, but it was so realistic and so grounded and so, like, you know, there was nothing fantastical about it. And I know that like astronauts are real, so like it's not like it's a fantasy in that regard. It's not like she was talking to a dragon on like Pluto. But for whatever reason, it really shocked me. I was like, an astronaut? So yeah, so that was kind of my initial reaction so far. So far, I would say that it is very formulaic, very like obvious, kind of like hits the kind of steps that you would expect it to hit based on what I read on the back, with the exception being that there's an astronaut. So it's partly set in space, which I just didn't anticipate. Like that was not something that I was like, oh, it's gonna be a space book. I guess like stars maybe what was the only clue, but yeah, so that's interesting. So I will keep you up to date as I keep reading this and doing some little updates as we go along. Karen, good old Karen. In Canada, we have provinces, not states. That just happened. So yeah, so I'm now almost halfway. I would say that with this book, so far there is there's an abusive relationship that's happening between the friends. Astronaut love is coming along. Main character Meg starting to recover from the loss of her fiance. And they were just mauled by a grizzly bear, which is what happens when one lives in British Columbia. Yeah, that's about where I am. But yes, note to people reading this book. Says that we have states. We do not have states. We have provinces. Well, Canada 101. It's the end of a work day. I'm exhausted. Probably look horrendous, but let's talk because I finished Christmas Under the Stars and wow. So I give this book 3 stars. It is, once you get going, I think it's pretty easy to kind of like pick up on what type of book it is. It's nothing like what the cover suggests, or what the excerpt at the back suggests. If you go by that, you'll probably be thinking that this is going to be like some sort of little rom-com, which is definitely what I thought it was going into it. But once you get to the astronaut, you're like, okay, I got a feel for this. So this book, I think it does what it says on the tin. It brings a certain levity. It's definitely not a very serious book. It doesn't take itself serious. I read the acknowledgement and like the author's notes at the back, and I completely I think she really did what she wanted to do with this book. So she kind of set herself as a challenge. She kind of set up some things to just like give it a try. And she did. And I think she handled it fairly well. So well done, Karen Swan. I don't think this is something that would necessarily make me want to like run out and grab more Karen Swan books, but if I got another one, I wouldn't be upset. So it's good. It's a good book. If falling in love with astronauts, long distance, and watching a woman kind of recover from her grief of losing a fiance 1 week before her wedding, if you love just like ignore the Christmas in the title, because Christmas really doesn't feature in this book at all, and the main showdown is actually in November. I think the Christmas under the stars would have made more sense. Under the stars and the winter scene would have made so much sense. The Christmas at the top? What are you playing at, Karen Swan? That's weird. I don't know why. As would have been mentioned in the reading vlog, there was a few times that she got some Canadianisms wrong. And on top of that, I would say that there was a general sense of like, it's interesting. This is one of the few times that I've read about things set in Canada not by a Canadian. And I think that there's some things that you can kind of tell that I'm like, it's not Canadian. So most notable is when she mentioned a very glaring mistake, actually, that really, like, I don't put it on Karen Swan because the editor, this is what editors are for, they should have picked this up. But it mentions like Canada's like states and like traveling out of the state. Like, we don't have states. So yeah, there's like a few things like that. There's not a single mention of Tim Hortons, which is like mind-boggling, especially if you live in more rural Canada, because like Tim Hortons are like how you know civilization is around. You see Tim Hortons, you're like, oh, okay, I can probably get gas and get my food. There's no mention of like just a few staples. So it's a fun read. It's a fun time. I would say that it's definitely much more of a friendship drama than I anticipated. So my personal philosophy is that every book has a reader, and it has someone who will love it. For me, having read this, I would recommend this to anyone who loves like reality television drama stakes. You know what I'm talking about? Like the really out there drama. People that like escapism through like romance, like falling in love with someone through 5-second radio contact while he's in the International Space Station. If you love the realism of the year of grieving that follows the death of a loved one, the way domestic abuse has been cycled. There's a lot of heavy themes in this book. So it's definitely not like if you just want candy. But it's not just candy. It is definitely a bit more to it. Though I would say it doesn't go all the way. So yes, that is my final review. It is a good book. It is what it is. It is definitely not what I expected at all, but my question to you is, have you read a Karen Swan book before? Are they all like this? Are they all a little bit out there? Or yeah, let me know. So be sure to hit subscribe and the like button because I'm gonna keep making more book content. Let's talk books. See you soon.